Hi, everybody. It's Thursday. Is it Thursday? Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am so happy to be here with you, and thank you all for joining me. This is a little bit nerve-wracking. I'm sitting here by myself and talking to myself, even though you're there, because it doesn't come naturally to me. But man, what a fun week it was. I should mention this show is brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. A great time for a Padres off day. This is probably the most exhausting opening week I can ever remember. I mean, opening day is just, it's crazy, right? A lot going on. But then of course, you had the feel-good story of Jerks and Profar returning to San Diego, and that just ended up with a somewhat shocking suspension. I'll get more into that a little bit later on. But then you had a perfect 7-0 homestand. Your stars showed up, and then of course yesterday, Jackson Merrill being extended. I can't imagine a better week for a Padres fan. Yes, guys, I know postseason would be fantastic too. But when you start off at home playing two very good teams in the Cleveland Guardians and the Atlanta Braves, two teams who were playoff teams last year, and you win the way you did, I mean, I can't imagine the feeling. You had the bobblehead for this dude, Jackson Merrill, and I just saw a stat on ESPN. He became only the second player in baseball history to hit a home run the same day he signed an extension of $100 million or more. The other player was Todd Hilton of the Colorado Rockies. I do want to mention that, again, Alden Gonzalez will be here from ESPN to talk about the two remaining undefeated teams, the Dodgers, who got the walk-off from Shohei Ohtani yesterday, and then, of course, the San Diego Padres. All right, guys, hopefully I won't have any tech issues today. I had it yesterday. I know yesterday during the Jackson Merrill press conference, the Padres had tech issues as well. Some of Jackson Merrill's comments cut out, but I do want to bring you some of that today before we get to Alden Gonzalez. I'll tell you this. I have never met, in all my years watching baseball and covering baseball, I have never met anybody that's wired quite like Jackson Merrill. I know some people think that it's eyewash, too good to be true. I remember when he first came up with the Padres. Actually, it was a spring training game when we had an idea that he was going to make the Padres roster last spring training. This guy was so animated in the dugout. He was dancing. He was high-fiving teammates. And some people thought, okay, all right, listen, rookie, calm down. That's who Jackson Merrill is. He's just wired that way. He is super. He doesn't like talking about himself when he does something great. And when after a loss, man, look out. This was Jackson Merrill yesterday, following the Padres' perfect homestand, following a wild day for him that started at 9:30 with a 9-year extension with the Padres. This is Jackson Merrill yesterday. And guys, let me know if there's any issues with the audio, because last week when I was playing these videos, I mean, the audio played, but the video didn't. So I would love your comments.
7-0. That's my honest opinion. 7-0. If we didn't win that game today, I would have been pissed. So 7-0.
How did today feel like just like a regular day for you? Just normal day, nothing changed?
I mean, besides talking all day, it felt like a normal day. Came in the locker room right after the press conference, just got locked in, that's my job.
How do you view baseball kind of like when there are those external things going on? It seems like you kind of take that, allow it to be a little bit safe.
It's a safe place, You don't have to deal with anything except yourself. It's your ability, it's your own talent, and it's your time too. I chose to play this sport for a reason. It's because I love it, so it's my safe place.
What kind of message do you think it sent, the deal and the extension that you did, to the rest of this?
God, the Wi-Fi sucks. All right, hopefully you're still, I'm not sure if you guys are still there with me, but the Wi-Fi is brutal right now. Let's see what's happening here. Give me a second. Hopefully I'm going to have to reconnect here. Ah, boy. And I'm using an Ethernet too. Why is this happening? Let's go. Come on. Wait.
Franchise, the people below, the people coming up.
It means I believe in us. I believe in everybody in the org, from top to bottom, from minor leagues to big leagues. I believe in everybody here. Everybody's got a certain job, a certain role here, and whatever that is, I'm appreciative of everybody that works hard to just fill that role. This is my role, and I'm here to win games.
To be able to hit a home run on the day you signed your extension, how did that feel?
I mean, striking out first AB, I was like, damn, this is how we're gonna go. And then, I had to come with something, and I had to give the fans something. So it's cool.
Is there any extra pressure that's off? I mean, this is a topic we brought up to you ahead of time, but now that the deal is done, all you have to think about is baseball. Does that kind of lift something from the back of your mind?
I mean, as a team, we always say that we apply pressure, we don't feel it. We apply that shit. That's us. We want everybody to feel the pressure. We don't feel it. It doesn't matter. We're down 8 runs. There's no pressure on us. We're down 8 runs. All we got to do is play our game. We're back in it.
So that was Jackson Merrill yesterday. You can find the full interview with him at Marty Time TV. Yesterday, after the press conference yesterday, we get back to the Padres clubhouse, and there's a nice glazed donut waiting for Jackson Merrill on his seat, and then Dylan Cease, who was just to the right, of course, yesterday's starting pitcher, was like, dude, you had to go ahead and do this on my day, on Dylan Cease day. So that was a lot of fun. We're gonna have Alden Gonzalez coming up in about 5 or 6 minutes or so. But I want to take you back inside the Padres clubhouse and a conversation with Manny Machado. And hope you stick around for the end of this conversation, because I think something that's really, really interesting to note, right? I mean, the Padres have locked up their stars. Of course, Manny Machado has his deal. Tatis, Xander Bogaerts, now Jackson Merrill, and of course you have Yu Darvish, Jake Cronenworth, and I'm forgetting. Oh, of course, Joe Musgrove. But the player that really got this started was Manny Machado. And so, some of you will argue and say, no, it was Eric Hosmer. I mean, Eric Hosmer was a different stratosphere of player. He wasn't like one of the biggest stars of the game when the Padres signed him as a free agent from the Kansas City Royals. Manny Machado, man, but when they signed him, he was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. So I think Manny Machado signing with the Padres, that was a jolt for this fan base. It really was. But I did talk to Manny Machado about the vision that was explained to him when Peter Seidler and AJ Preller got that deal done, because they were the Blue Padres then. They didn't have any stars. Manny Machado gave them the first bit of stardom. So that's the end of the Manny Machado interview, which is coming up right now.
It's a core group now, and adding our youngster to it, it's just makes it more exciting for the city and for this ball club.
How important is that kind of stability, both for the team and maybe for a young player getting that kind of commitment from the team?
Yeah, definitely for a young player his age, that's huge. Kind of just shows you the commitment that the team has, shows you the faith that the ball club has in you, and you can go out there and just focus on playing baseball and not worry about the other stuff. And on a team standpoint, I mean, it's just nice to have everyone, knowing the same group is coming to spring training every single year, and we're going to go out there and compete for many years.
What's impressed you most about what Jackson has been able to do this early this year?
His work ethic, man. I mean, this kid works his butt off every single day, and whether the moment's too high or too low, he does the same thing every single day and continues to do it, and he's steady Eddie, and it's been impressive to watch. I've loved seeing him grow as a player, as a person, and to see him to continue to grow every single day and every single year. It's going to be a fun ride.
For you personally, how fun is it to sort of be a mentor to a young player like that and see that kind of growth?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We always joke around that he was there on my opening day up back in Baltimore, and now he's here. We're going to be here for a very long time and build obviously an incredible relationship for many years to come, and just to try to help him in whatever way we can, lead him in the right direction. I think we've done a pretty good job so far, and it's just going to get better.
When did you know that he was going to be this special of a player?
I mean, it's you just never know. I think you see his ability, obviously. Last year coming to spring training, ready to compete. Obviously, he was a shortstop, moving him over to a different position in the outfield. It was a tough transition, and he overcame that like nothing. Like he was playing that for his entire life. So, but I think it all leads back to how hard he worked, how much he wanted it. The group that we had in here, I think we had a tremendous training staff that kept them healthy. We had a tremendous coaches that pushed them to be better and helped them get better at a new position, which is incredibly hard, and especially to do it in the big league level, it's not easy at all. So, yeah, man. I mean, I think we all saw it. He broke camp with us, knowing that he was going to be our center fielder, be a big part of our organization last year, and we all knew that we had that in him.
Manny, you're kind of the guy that broke the mold in San Diego when it comes to signing stars and keeping these players. I think it was you. I think it may have been you. No, I think it was. I think it was you. Is this what you envisioned when you're talking to Preller and of course Peter Seidler back then? Is this the side of plan that they explained to you?
Listen, when I signed here, this was a long-term commitment, right? This was, to be here for a very long time, to come to an organization and win for many years, try to bring a championship to the city, which is still our main goal. And in the process of it was just to grow as an organization, to grow and make this one of the best ball clubs in all of baseball. And, so far we've been doing a great job. Peter and Ron and, Seidler family now have stepped up and continue to make the city grow. And it's been special to be a part of it. And, it shows you the commitment that, and the fans, right? I think when we came here, the fans, baseball wasn't so big here in San Diego, right? And for a very long time. And we came here, we started winning. We've been having some pretty good players like Tatis, myself, obviously now Jackson. We bring back Joe. We trade for Darvish. And, we start bringing in these players. And, we're doing a pretty good job here for the city, and the fans show it, man. And they come out here and they support us every single day, which has been incredible. And their hunger is what drives us to go out there and bring a championship to the city. And it's been an incredible journey. And from the get-go, this was the plan the whole time. And as you see it now, extending a bunch of guys. We have 6, 7, 8 guys that are going to be here for a very long time. And it's just a commitment to that the organization is showing to the fans.
So that was Manny Machado from pregame yesterday saying this was the plan the whole time. And I threw in some pictures. I'm hoping you guys can see that video. Alex and Erica, I see you out there on the chat. So send me a message. Let me know if you could see the full video of Manny. But I was showing the footage, picture of his press conference, his intro press conference when he signed with the Padres. Was that 2019? The Blue Padres, and he's up there with Ron Fowler and Peter Seidler. Boy, things have changed since then. I mean, everything, the aura about this team, the star power, the expectation. Speaking of Seidler, and I thought about this yesterday, and I asked AJ Preller about it after the press conference as well. I mean, just how much Peter Seidler would have loved what happened yesterday, the start for this homestand, right? Jackson Merrill, man, he would have loved that player. And he did say that, he spoke to Peter Seidler a lot about, the hype that they had around expectations for Jackson Merrill. Yesterday, John Seidler, the new chairman, the older brother of Peter, was there in the front row for the press conference. He was there seated next to Eric Grupner, and I'm sure if you guys saw the press conference photo yesterday, he was out there on stage. That was the first time I'd see him in an official capacity. I wanted to interview him, but he's not doing those interviews yet. I think he spoke with Kevin Acee in spring training, but it did say, I tried to ask him, was it an easy decision to go ahead and extend Jackson Merrill? And yeah, seems like a no-brainer. So anyways, that was John Seidler from yesterday. Hopefully we'll hear a lot more from him in the near future, but it's going to take some time. Okay, guys, thanks so much for hanging in there with me today. I'm still working on all the tech issues. If you missed anything from this week, and it's been a wild week of Padres, there's been just so much going on, whether it's going to be Kyle Hart's debut, of course, Jackson Merrill and Tatis and everything else, then you can find all the videos on Marty Time TV. Let's see, Alden Gonzalez. We're going to go ahead and we're going to, I caught up with him just a few minutes ago. I'm going to go ahead and bring you our conversation. And then I look forward to talking to you all on Monday. Padres Cubs, our 3-game series starting tomorrow at Wrigley Field, which is such a fun place to go ahead and play. And then Monday's going to be interesting because the Padres play the Oakland A's in Sacramento. I hate everything about relocation. I hate everything about John Fisher putting his fan base through that. You guys as San Diegans know this. But anyways, here is Alden Gonzalez talking some baseball with ESPN's Baseball Insider. Fan, your week couldn't have gone any better. And of course, if you're the Dodgers, your week went exactly as planned. Walk-off by Shohei Ohtani. We now have 2 undefeated teams in baseball. It's great to go ahead and welcome in Alden Gonzalez of ESPN to Marty Time TV. Alden. Here I go again. Frozen. Boy, why is this happening? My Wi-Fi sucks. How are you?
I'm doing great, Marty. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been one of the longest homestands I can ever remember. You know, it kind of started with, of course, opening day. They returned the feel-good story of Jerks and Profar back in San Diego. Then it ends with a suspension, and then we had the Jackson Merrill contract extension. I mean, it's just been a wild week, really, an absolute wild week. But if you're a Padres fan, it couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's so great to see what they've been able to do early on. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was just a few short months ago that, at least to me, and I know to a lot of other people, that the Padres seem to have the makings of a World Series team. They seemed
Mm-hmm.
like the most complete team in baseball heading into October.
Yeah.
I legitimately thought that they were going to defeat the Dodgers in the National League Division Series. They almost did. And then obviously they go through their off season and they're in sort of cost cutting mode again. And you wonder if they're
Mm-hmm.
going to have the depth and the talent to rise to that level again. And look, it's only been 1 week.
Yeah.
There's a lot of baseball left to be played, but there are a lot of encouraging signs in San Diego.
Right. This entire offseason, there was so much uncertainty surrounding the Padres ownership. Of course, a new chairperson in John Seidler, who I saw yesterday for the first time, sitting front row for the Jackson Merrill press conference. And there was speculation: were they going to trade Dylan Cease or Michael King and Luis Ariz? And I mean, those players talked about it openly. They said they would joke with each other. They would check their text messages. They would text each other daily when they would see a trade rumor. But right now, when you have this kind of start, when you extend one of your young star players at the age of 21 years old, and when you're playing as well as you are, again, small sample size, I can't imagine you make any of these moves that you extend Jackson Merrill with the intention of trading one of your aces. You have to go for it. You have to go for it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Marty, what I would say to that too is I would never think that even a trade of a Dylan Cease for Luis Arias was not going to be, at least in my mind, a trade to kind of like reset the roster or get more payroll flexibility. It would have been a type of move to contend in a different way, kind of like trading Juan Soto to the Yankees to get Michael King and more starting pitching depth. And that might still be possible. AJ Preller is always in deal-making mode, but make no mistake, like regardless of what transactions take place, this is very much the Padres' window. This is a title contending window, and AJ Preller's goal is very simple. You get a budget from ownership, and you do what you can within that budget to build as close to a championship contending roster as you can. That's his challenge.
What did you think of the extension for Jackson Merrill? I'll tell you this. I mean, I know it was a work in progress thing. I think that a lot of baseball executives think that the Padres they struck a huge bargain with a player like Merrill.
I will say, and anytime you say, and I agree with you, anytime you say it like that, it sounds like Jackson Merrill got taken for a ride or he doesn't know what he's doing, and that's certainly not the case. I mean, if you, and I know you were there during his press conference on Wednesday morning, I listened back to a good portion of it, and I just loved, like, and he's always been, and Marty, you've been around him a lot. He's a young kid. He's 21 years old, but he has a lot of confidence, obviously, but he also just sort of has just a good feel for things, it seems. And listening to him talk about how basically saying, like, you don't need all the money in the world. I am already going to make a lot of money. And what I really want is to, and I'm obviously paraphrasing here, but what he really wants is for the Padres to continually contend around him. And if he tried to get the most money, that wasn't going to be possible later on in his career. And I know there are a lot of agents who would disagree with that thinking, especially with how cold-blooded these major league organizations can be towards players. And I get that part of it, but I love hearing that kind of awareness and in some ways selflessness from such a young kid like Jackson Merrill. Like, he knows the type of deal he took. And he's very secure in it because clearly he feels comfortable in San Diego.
Yes.
And he wants to win here. From the Padres' perspective, I mean, to get somebody that talented who plays a premium position who you know is going to be a franchise cornerstone at a really
Mm-hmm.
good annual rate. And
Mm-hmm.
also, most importantly, to buy out 5 or 6 free agent years. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that is a wonderful deal for the Padres. It's exactly what they should be doing. People worry about how certain contracts on their payroll are going to age, and that is
Mm-hmm.
legitimate. But when you give these types of deals to young guys, whether it's Jackson Merrill or Fernando Tatis Jr., those more often than not end up being really good deals for teams.
Great. Alden, hang on for 1 second because my screen is freezing up. I'm going to make sure that we're getting all this. So hang on 1 second. Okay, now we are. Okay, good deal. Okay. Sorry, thanks about that. Okay, so Braves, of course, came to San Diego. Just an absolute. You could not have a worse start for any team. You know, your main offseason free agent splash being suspended. Then you're swept by the Padres. You go to Dodger Stadium. You're swept, including a walk-off by Ohtani yesterday. Just based on, again, a small sample size, are the Padres this good or the Braves that bad? Or is it just, listen, it's the first week. Things are going to go ahead and right themselves?
So this is a boring answer, but I would say neither.
Okay.
I think the Padres are legitimately good. I picked them to make the
Mhm.
playoffs for whatever that's
Mhm.
worth.
I agree.
The Braves are not going to be this bad. Their offense is not going to be this bad. Not
Come
even close.
on.
They're going to get Ronald Acuna Jr. back in a month. They're going
God, I hate this thing. And boy, what a. All right, let's go ahead and catch up to where we were with the conversation with Alden. Was up at the age of 31. I know he talked about a new workout routine, a new batting stance, working, new diet, working out with Tatis Sr. in the Dominican Republic. But it doesn't seem like anybody was caught off guard by the suspension because people weren't really buying what we saw last season.
Yeah, Marty, it's very easy to make that connection, especially
Mhm.
when you consider somebody like Jerickson Profar, who's had a long career by that point, was coming off
Yeah.
a really brutal season in 2023 where he signed for $1 million with the Padres, and even that didn't come until spring training had already
Mhm.
begun.
Mhm.
By every metric, it was a better season than any he had previously. And look, I mean, do I know for sure that that was a PED inflated offensive season? No, I don't. And Jurickson Profar himself would deny that. He said in his statement that he was tested 8 times
Right.
last year. He made it a
Right.
point to say that, and that he passed all those tests. He said that he tested negative. He tested positive in the off season,
Mhm.
and he might say that, and maybe that's true. But unfortunately, when you put yourself in this position and you get yourself suspended for 80 games,
Mhm.
you don't buy yourself the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And so there's going to be a lot of skepticism about whether 2024 was an inflated year for Jurickson Profar.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Braves thought long and hard about that before they gave him a $42 million contract.
Mhm.
And though Jurickson Profar will deny it, like I said, I mean, he he lost the benefit of the doubt because he messed up, and he's got to be accountable for it. I know that he will be. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of player Profar is moving forward. He has a
Yeah.
chance to prove that he can be that player coming off the suspension, and we're just going to have to wait and see.
Right.
But for the Braves, though, and if I could just make one more point that I think people should understand here, they're not
Mhm.
going to have him for the playoffs. It doesn't matter how well they recover, and if
Right.
Jurickson Profar comes back in July, August, September, and sets the world on fire, he will not be there in October. And I think that's an important element to the steroid program because that is true punishment for these teams and the players.
It really is, and that's a massive blow. And it's one thing for when Tatis was suspended at such a young age. I mean, he was a superstar in the making, right? And the biggest thing for him, I mean, the reputation, it's going to follow him the rest of his career. But I still think he is young enough and talented enough to overcome it. When you're Profar, I mean, number one, you're in a different stratosphere of star power. He's not Tatis. He was never going to be Tatis. But when you're at this age, 31 years old. I don't know that you can't recover your reputation. You can't come back at this. I think it's too late in his career at this point. That's just my opinion.
I think generally you're right. The only caveat I will add there is I
Mhm.
feel like we are, just as a baseball consuming populace, uh, more forgiving toward PEDs now than maybe we
Hmm.
were coming off the steroid era. And then I will point to another example, and this is one in the other extreme, but it's Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz had a steroid suspension later, midway through his career, and he was able to kind of change his reputation thereafter, and he is considered a beloved figure in the game. So there is hope for somebody like Jurickson Profar.
No, that's a very good point. I mean, the Padres brought him in, was it a year ago? No, they brought him in 2 years ago because he was so beloved. I mean, he didn't have much left. It was a $1 million contract for the Padres. They brought in both Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter. But one reason they wanted to go and kick the tires on Nelson Cruz, he was so respected. And especially with the influence of the Dominican players in that locker room, they wanted that leadership. They wanted him around players like Tatis and Juan Soto, and of course Manny Machado. So it didn't work out well for him. I mean, he was cut just a couple months later, but that's a very, very good point. Okay, last thing, Alden, and thank you so much for your time. Your colleague, Buster Olney, put out I think it was his piece on the top 100 baseball players in baseball. There's nothing that will stir outrage like a list, especially of rankings. And former Padre Tommy Pham was quoted extensively, which I love in that piece. But that Tatis is the highest ranking player on that list at 15, and Jackson Merrill is 23rd. Tatis 15th? You mean there's 14 players that are better than Tatis right now in Major League Baseball?
I will say I know Buster wrote the story on player reaction on that top 100. Yeah. But we all voted on it. We all voted on it extensively to come up with this list. There was a huge list of ESPN baseball people who voted on that. The Tatis one, do you have more issue with the Tatis ranking or with the Merrill ranking? Because everybody seems to have their own flavor.
I mean, come on, Tatis is 15th?
I think they're really low. I don't know. My biggest issue was we had Yordan Alvarez ranked ahead of Juan Soto. That one I did not get. We had Yordan Alvarez 7th, Juan Soto 8th. That's the one that struck me the most. With Tatis, I don't know about that one. We need to see him put together a full season where he is squarely in the MVP discussion again. So I don't have as much. Trust me, I have issue with a lot of the placement. Tatis is not really one that jumped out to me, I'm sorry to say. And I love Tatis. He could make a very legitimate MVP choice, but I'm okay with it.
Listen, he's making his case right now. I know at a couple months ago at FanFest, he talked about knowing that when he is healthy, when he's fully healthy and his head is in the right place, he is the best player in baseball. There's no one better. I mean, and so far, I mean, that leadoff role, man, he has been spectacular. He has been
we need to see him do it. We needed to see him do it for a full season, but he's certainly capable.
We need to re-rank this. Hey, Alden, thank you so much. Is it spring break week for you and your kids? What's happening in LA?
Not yet. I have another week or two of freedom, Marty.
Go enjoy it. But I'm sorry, really quick. Have you seen the new facility where the Padres are playing the Cubs, of course, over this weekend, and they go to Sacramento to play the A's in that miserable tiny little clubhouse and stadium? But have you been there yet?
I have not. I really want to go. I wrote about it in the off season. I haven't been there yet, though. Okay.
Well, I definitely think you should go, and if you do, I want a full report.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Alden. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Marty. Take care.
All right, guys. All right, that was Alden Gonzalez from ESPN. He has been his work is fantastic. Very, very talented reporter. And listen, today is Marty Time TV. It's a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be back probably on Monday. I have some fun guests coming up next week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your spring break if you have kids. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.